Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Elephant's Corner. This week we have on a really good marketer in the gaming industry, kind of just like all over, not even just gaming, but he calls himself the gaming strategist. So, that's his claim to fame. His name's Jorge. Looking forward to talking with him. I heard him in a couple of spaces. Very interesting guy. Has a cool like idea and concept about going out to the market and doing certain things. So we'll be happy to talk about that. Let's see what we got. What we got. I just want to say we're sponsored by, as always, DirecTV. DirecTV is where you can go and get all of your TV channels. They have this new internet where it plugs in. It's like a little flash drive, goes on the back of the TV. It basically controls your whole house through the Google system. So shout out to DirecTV. You can go to my company's website right here, fill out a form, and we'll take care of you and get you what you need for DirecTV services. Yes. So now that we got that out of the way, let's bring Jorge up. Let's see. How we doing, sir?
Yo, brother, what is going on, man? Love that sponsor, DirecTV. Damn.
Yeah, man. So I do sell for DirecTV and internet services. So they basically do they do television and radio ads.
Okay.
So I talked to them and I was like, so what about podcasts? Like that's the new form of radio and the new form of, being able to branch out and present your product to people. And they were for it. So that's how I locked that in.
Yeah, man. That's a first in the Web3 space that I've been on. That DirecTV, major Web2 brand, is sponsoring something. So shout out to you for locking that in. That's what's up, man. Yeah, man.
Definitely.
Real excited to be here as well. Appreciate you, having me on. And I don't know about the AC Milan jersey though, man. I gotta tell you, man. Maybe a couple, maybe 10 years ago when Ronaldinho was there, I would have, been more excited.
No, yeah, I actually just have like 30 soccer jerseys. My team is Leicester, and then I just have a bunch of other jerseys spread out. Thank God we're back in the Premier League this year. Let's go. Let's spend some money on some players so we don't get relegated again, but we probably will. Yeah, man.
That's a tough.
Who's your team?
So man, my nationality, I'm Ecuadorian. I'm actually living here in Ecuador as well right now. I live in Florida as well.
Right.
And for many years, Antonio Valencia, he's a famous Ecuadorian soccer player, played for Manchester United for over 16 years. It was our first major international player playing at that stage, right? And here in Ecuador, we very much are Man United fans and very appreciated, very humble that Man United took him and made him the star he is, because he definitely helped the country with other players. And now I think we have so many international players, but I think it's the country's just that. So of course, being younger and following him, being Man U, and I was like, yeah, made all sense.
Nah, dude. Man U was a great team. You had Cristiano come through there. You had Beckham in there, Wayne Rooney. I mean, dude, star-studded. Happy to be a part of them. The way I became a Leicester fan is that I walked into a soccer shop and I was like, whatever team I can get a away and home jersey for, that's going to be the team that I'm going to be a fan of. And Leicester City was the only one, which is weird because they don't really have that many fans spread out. It's more just in Leicester.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. But again, man, excited to kick off your show. Excited to be on, talk a little marketing, talk a little Web3, talk a little gaming, and see where the road travels today,
Definitely. No, gaming. So let's just jump into gaming first, because that's kind of where I'm headed with my podcast series. I'm shifting from what I was doing. I'm still doing that, still have a bunch of people lined up, but I want to get more into the gaming and having the gaming studios come in and talk about their games, and so people can see it, because there's a lot of underground stuff going on, forgotten, there's just like a bunch of games that not a lot of people know about, and they're like, where are people building, what can I play, and they're uh ready to present those to the world, hopefully,
Yeah,
just like you're doing.
yeah, man. I think one disclaimer is that we're still very early, right?
Yeah.
I think games and good games take years to build, right? You look at
Dude,
Grand Theft Auto, 5 to 10 years to build. Call of Duty, 5 to 10 years to build. I think a lot of games, the good games take a long time, and I think this is my opinion, of course. I always tell people we are in kind of like year one of Web3 gaming still, and I say why year one, because we've been through different parts of gaming, from play to earn and all these aspects, but not
yeah.
really like a full playable, maybe AAA or AA like game that like really brought in more users rather than the actual speculators that there is in Web3 gaming currently right now. And so like until we get more, until we have that blockbuster title yet, which I think we're getting pretty close. I mean, it's great to see Off the Grid, Nigh on Heroes, Wild World. It's great to see some of these games, Shrapnel, and all these that have been building, putting out test play.
Shout out Omnia. If we're hollering out games, shout out Omnia.
All right, I gotta check that one out. I haven't checked that one out.
Yeah. Do you know what the Sappy Sills are?
Yeah, of course. That's
okay. So
right,
basically,
right.
that's what their whole plan was, to build Omnia. But I mean, the Sappy Sills brand is something else. But Omnia was their goal, and they're getting that. A lot of people are impatient. You said it takes a long time to build a game, and I totally agree. If you're not taking 5 to 6 years to build out a game, then it's not going to be one that people just want to play just to play because it's fun. I mean, look at the NCAA that just came out. I'm sure they've been having that game and developed since it went down. They just couldn't release it. They just kept making it better until they
I think you mentioned something like really, really important there, right? It takes a long time to build, right? What you just said. Also, it's very important to understand is the audience, right? Why are people in the crypto space and I don't want to say all of them, but quick returns, right? 100x returns, 500x returns, 1,000x returns within weeks, within days, or within hours, right? And here's Web3 gaming that takes, like we just said, 5 to 10 years possibly to build games, maybe even more. And all of a sudden, I'm buying an NFT or token in this Web3 game, and 4 hours go by, and I'm like, I don't know why I haven't made 10x. What the hell is going on? And then it's like, okay, they put out this trailer, and you're like, oh my God, cinematic trailer. This is gonna be it. This is da-da-da-da. A year goes by, and they're like, when game, and it's like,
when game.
Yeah, like the cinematic trailer that you just saw, like probably take years to build, let alone like compete with Web2 studios who have millions of dollars, maybe 5x the studio sizes that most of these Web3 games have. Yeah, I think there's always a misunderstanding, and also the audience that's in this space is also not the most patient either. So definitely Web3 gaming has a tougher hill to climb, than the typical space.
Totally agree. So were you were around for the Axie Affinity and all those games that were out at the time, or did you hop in a little bit after that?
Yeah. So I'll give you like a little background, right? So I'm actually like a 15-year commercial investment banker. I worked in New York City, Connecticut, Wall Street my whole life, and in banking, when Bitcoin was like starting to like come around, 2013, we were always like fake internet money. It's just a trend. Like, go if you want to gamble, like either go to the casino or like go play this thing. So like, the typical gambler that I am, I'm like, sure, let's see what this.
I went and played.
Let's see what this thing's all about. And 2015, 2016, like it started really like to understand more of blockchain technology and everything. And I was like, holy crap, like this is actually like very innovative creative. It's very much like there's something.
Totally.
I said to myself, there is something here. I don't know what yet. Like it's still early. Like we don't know what. But I think by like 2019, 2018, I was like, okay, like I need to like go down the rabbit hole even further. And yeah, I think like 2021 or 2020, like when I started seeing Web3 games doing fundraising and everything for being building in Web3 space, I said NFTs, crypto technology, blockchain, all this stuff, and gaming. I was like, that is the perfect match. Like that could solve a lot of things. It could fix a lot of things. It can make things easier, more transparent, especially in gaming where we have a lot of issues in the Web2 gaming space. And and I was like, fuck, man. I was like, wow, the light bulb just went off, right? I was like, damn, like this is great. I apologize if I cursed. I just realized that.
You're good.
And so
Wait, hang on. I got something for that. Hang on. I'll just hold my finger here, and every time that you go,
yeah,
I'll sit you out real quick. Now I'm just.
I will slip up. I think like
You're good.
it really clicked, and I said, there's something here, and yeah, man, like I think like it's we're still wild away from it, but I think finally starting to see, like, I think Sony just this week said, hey, like we want to build in this space, right? And I'll say like one thing, like history repeats itself in many ways, right? Like 2013, 2014, banks were like, oh yeah, that's garbage, like fake internet money. 2023, 2024, today now, every single bank has a crypto trading desk. Every single one, right?
Oh.
You look at Web3 gaming, right? And all the Web2 publishers, Steam, Valve, all these guys saying, oh yeah, like all blah blah about Web3 gaming and blockchain. And now, 2024, Sony, hey, we're going to be looking at building in the space. And again, it's because, and rightfully so from the Web2 space. Look, man, I almost laugh and joke with my friends and I say, we're the idiots that jumped in here first, because the big Web2 giants, what they did is let those guys test it out. Let those guys do all the
fight it out.
Like, let them waste the money. Let them hit themselves against the wall and try to like things. Once the product is there, that's when we jump in and we'll say, hey, okay, let's take this now. Let the big boys handle it, right? And so I think that's what we're kind of going to be seeing a lot with Web3 gaming in the coming years.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you said that you were an investment banker and all that. You were inside of the banks. I was looking at your LinkedIn. So you basically like started like at the bottom of the bank and worked your way up. Kind of, it seemed like kind of on the lower end. So from being in the banks that way, to seeing the crypto, you were able to like see the negatives and the bad things that were in the banks, and then you were like, okay, this makes more, like that's why the crypto made more sense to you at the time. Tell me a little bit about that and how you saw Bitcoin fixing like the problems in the banking system.
I think like I'll give you a little background as well. Is like, again, I am Latino, I'm Ecuadorian. I'm first generation American. My parents, came to America, and so I've worked with a lot of like Latinos, and I've worked with a lot of immigrants in immigration, and been part of like a lot of consulates in the United States, and helping people get like passport, bank accounts with passports and all that stuff. Like been through a lot of this stuff many years ago. And one of the things in banking, man, like my parents would send money as well to Ecuador, and like I would work with a lot at the bank. They would say, hey, I want to send money. And it was wild that like people would send $100 in the fees just to send $100 to like Mexico. By the time it got there, it was like 65 or 70 bucks, right?
Insanity,
and it took 3 to 4 business days for the money to get there, right? And so
even if it took that long on the Bitcoin, like at least you're not losing out on the fees.
Totally, like
that bad.
And so like to me it was like, man, like what's going on? And then again, working in towns and lower demographics, different demographics, lower income cities and everything like that, a lot of imports and exports. I work with a lot of small businesses that were like, hey, I got to export this to China, or I'm importing this from China, and it's like, hey, I need to pay the China supplier. And I'm like, cool, what do we got to do? Okay, well, the money has to go from, like, let's just say this bank to an intermediate bank in like England, do an FX currency exchange that they need to get a piece of the pie. Then it gets to them in like yen, which is like their currency. And by the time it gets to them, it's already like lost like 25% or something like that in
Wow.
fees. It's just fees, right? Like,
Wow, dude.
damn, like, like what's going on with all these businesses and like that. But again, fast
Rake
forward, crypto starts coming in, blockchain technology, and I'm like, wait, I could send money to anybody in the world with a wallet address. That's all I need, and that's how simple this is. And like I'm like, holy crap! Like there is something here. Once again, I was like, there's something here. I don't know where it is. I think we're still very much early, like even now, because I mean, it is not as easy yet as it like hopefully it'll be a lot easier in the future. And I think Solana with Blinks right now is like that's really,
I was
really
gonna
cool.
say, so yeah, I was at the Solana Foundation and MetaMask meet here in Dallas on Monday, and that's what they were talking about, the Blinks. And yeah, it's gonna, dude. Yeah, I mean, Solana, as much as people talk shit about it, it might change. It might be the one that like changes the world. They might have their shit together. Like, uh,
Hold on, let me get my Solana.
yeah,
Hey man, look, I'll tell you one thing. I'm a Solana maxi, and I say this very much with everybody. For a marketing agency that we are, a lot of our games have been on Solana. Have had a lot of support from the Solana Foundation. Solana Foundation's probably one of the most hands-on, willing to help work and find ways to make sure that the businesses that are building on Solana, are thriving and growing. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. I like the Solana. I mean, they got the shitcoin market and stuff, but what they're actually building on the other end and like around the space is very awesome. So for let's touch on partnerships. What's your like getting partnerships, reaching out to companies, doing all that intermediary for other companies? What do you think's one of the best tactic or a good tactic to go about getting in touch with these different get past the gatekeepers, I should say, and get in touch with the people you need to talk to?
Yeah, I think the first thing is being authentic. Okay, in this space, it's very transactional, right? Web3 like is very, very transactional. We're all looking for like the partnership announcement to do this hype thing on Twitter because like I'm partnering with this guy and like that. So very transactional. So what happens is that a lot of the transactions are DMs that say, "Hey, do you want to partner with this and that?" Right? And sure, like that's cool, but like, what is it that you're actually building? Like, let me like hear and listen to you and actually understand what is it that you're doing to see if there's actual mutual synergies beyond a partnership announcement to actually work together. And so I think again, like authenticity, building a relationship management, a lot of like the basics that is, I guess you could almost call sales 101 if from a real true like salesperson that actually wants to build build a relationship with somebody, it would take these kind of steps. And so one of the things I think like with the gaming strategist, which is the marketing agency, we've always tried to build as much relationships, work with as many people, and truly like find out what pain points they were having in order for us to be able to say, hey, how can we solve it and work together, right? Like I'll give you even some of these stories, right? Like I'll give you one, Mix Mob, which is a mobile racing game on. It's probably one of the really coolest games out there. I don't know if you guys ever checked it out. It's building on Solana. Simon, the founder, I knew him for about a year and a half before he became my client, or vice versa, before we worked together. And that was just because we were finding out about each other, working like, hey, and it would be like, hey, what's going on, buddy? Cool. Hey, what about this? Thoughts like this. Until that time came of like, hey, I need a marketing agency. That's when we came in and we worked together. So I think it's just building relationships, right? Like it could take maybe 6 months, it could take a year for us. It took that long, but by the time
Yeah.
we went to marriage, I think look at Mixed Mob. I think I'm very, very proud and very, very grateful for the relationship because great team, great product, and we had a lot of success with them. And I'm a big fan of it till this day. And I talk to that team all the time. They're building and building, and that's what I love. And so I think it's not just not being transactional is I think like the key message
Beautiful.
there.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's all about rapport. I mean, the world, you want to have those relationships, build a strong bonds with any individual really that you could see, both working together is beneficial. That's what I've been doing a lot in life, and it's been working out really well for me. So I suggest giving it a try. Not saying that it's going to work for everybody, but I suggest if you don't try this, you should try to build a relationship before you
And
go in.
don't clout chase, right? Like no need to clout chase. I think there's too much of that in this space, right?
Yep.
I actually think like one of the things like that differentiates like the gaming strategist is like, I treat everybody with the same respect, every single person. I try to build the same relationship I do with every person. There's not one person that I would say that because of whatever it is, like I want to have that same path of building a relationship that I have with A, B, and C, the same thing. So I think like don't clout chase because that's a very common thing in the Web3 space.
Yeah, definitely flexing, cloud chasing, all of that. People love doing that. You talked about building those relationships with the mixed mob. Mixed mob?
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Yeah, mixed mob. So tell me about pushing a company like Mixed Mob to getting a bunch of impressions, getting a bunch of followers and things like that on Twitter or on any platform that they're going towards. Uh, is there like a secret recipe? Every business is obviously different. You don't have to share your secret sauce, but if you want to, I'll listen. I'm just wondering what's your inside scoop on that?
Yeah. It's funny. We're talking about relationships, right? And I kind of like
Yeah.
just we talked about how important relationships are. When we came on to Mixed Mob, again, the relationships and the reputation is very much, I think, the key for the gaming strategist. I'm very grateful for every relationship I have, but I was able to really deliver this game and put this in everybody's, like, let's just say DM or friends of, and
Cool.
families that I have, and again, within the market, especially knowing most of the KOLs, knowing most of the guilds, knowing most of the VCs, knowing a lot of partners in Web3 gaming that you need to know, which I have, a very great, strong relationship with a lot of people. I was able to say, hey, like, this is what we're doing. Love for you to check it out, and this vice versa, which started building up that marketing, right? A good game, good team, great roadmap, well funded, building on Solana again, like everything. The recipe is there, right? Like when you ask me the secret sauce, well, the secret sauce has always for me been give me a game that's playable and that's fun, right? Like the gaming experience has to be at the forefront, right? If the gaming experience is not at the forefront, then who cares like about the technology? Like I'm not like oh yeah, like the Solana blockchain, man, it's gonna be so great. Like it's gonna be so fast, so you can play this game. Like no, man, like no one's gonna care about that, right? Like
No.
you know what I mean? Like give me the experience. Let me play a game that I could go,
Just put the controller in my hand.
yeah, rounds after round. So I think it's again, you prelude from relationships, partnerships, being able to build that and show that, and work with a lot of partners to say, hey, this is what's happening. This is coming to market. This is going to have a token launch, an NFT launch. This is why you should be part of it. This is really like the next phase or chapter of the game, and being able to showcase that to a lot of friends and family relationships again. And then again, you start doing marketing even on Twitter and stuff like that. Start showcasing this. This is kind of like that recipe. Now you start stirring the pot, right? And it's like it's starting to brew. And so I think like it's a mixture of many marketing strategies as well of not just that, but also what kind of content do people want to see on Web3, right? We just talked about before the audience, right? I think it's one of the most important things is understanding the audience in Web3 gaming, right? It's a lot of speculators, right? Like people just want to know,
Yeah.
hey, like, can I make a 10x in here, right? If I can't, then I'm not really going to pay attention. Because let's just face it, like there's very little gamers still in Web3 gaming, right? It's still not like.
Yeah, true. It's true.
So what kind of messaging do I need to go on Twitter to say? Do I want to go out and push a lot of the game? Maybe. Do I want to go push out, hey, this could be your next 10x return type thing? Sure, I don't know, right? Like not financial advice, right? Like we don't know, right? But again, it's making sure you understand your audience and what does the audience want to see? What does the audience want to get lured into of like, hey, how I'm going to capture their attention to what I'm building and have them become a marketeer, right? Like the user evolution journey of like marketing is probably like one that's probably another one that's not really studied that much, but like you want to make sure that you that user you're selling to becomes a marketeer, right? Like I think Disney probably has the best user evolution journey that there is because like they invest like heavily into like 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Why? Because forever they will be like Disney this, Disney that. Let's go here, shirt, yeah, like, and so they know that user evolution of what it is, and it's the same thing in gaming, right? You look at Grand Theft Auto, you look at Call of Duty, you look at Counter-Strike, you look at a lot of these games that have been around for many years. It's again understanding how to make that end user a marketeer, so that any marketing you're doing is just again fire to the fuel to the fire. Jesus.
All right, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that was a great answer. Perfect. So you told me you were on basically like 15 calls before you hopped on here. I'm wondering, you seem really busy, but do you have any time? Do you find time to play games, to play these games that you're doing marketing for and stuff like that, basically like market research for them or anything like that? Let me know. Are you a gamer yourself?
Yeah. So it's actually a cool thing, right? So first of all, we need to play the games in order for us to know what we want to market it, right?
That's what I figured,
right? Second, company culture for me is the most important thing. The gaming strategist has about 25 employees, so it's a pretty large agency. Every Friday, we actually do game tournaments where we take 3 hours of the day and we kind of say, okay, like, 25 of us get into a game and we do a tournament, and so like whoever wins prizes. We have usually a couple $100, 25, 50, whatever it is, NFTs, and we give it away. So we definitely try other games as well to see like what's cooking, what's good, and also to just learn their marketing as well. Like there's a lot of great games doing phenomenal marketing in Web3 right now.
Yeah,
and we're like, okay, cool. How do we, like, what do we need to do to learn from this or replicate this or whatever it is, right? And so there's that, and then again, like I laugh at this one, right? Because like I'm not a really great shooter, right? Game, like I'm not really great. There's some guys on the team that are just cracked, right? Like,
yeah.
I'll even put this disclosure out here, right? I'm 37 years old, right? Like I'm past my prime, right? Like play me in a strategy game and that's like you won't have a chance, right? And so
so like Age of Empires, bro.
Yeah, so funny you say that, right? Because Medieval Empires, right, which is a game building in Web3 right now, is very much like Age of the Empires. And
I've seen that game around, yeah.
And Age of the Empires probably has like, I don't know, maybe 12 years of my life. You know what I mean? Like I spent hours, days, years playing that game. And so Medieval Empires is actually on the screen. I have 4 screens in front of me. On the screen right now, at all times, I'm always playing that game, right? And so
that's hilarious.
I always tell those guys, like, hey, I'm your unofficial, KOL that you have. So they always like. But yeah, man, I think it depends on the game that it is, right? I like to try shooter games. I still try them. I know I'm not that great, so I always say like, make sure somebody can carry me because I might not get a kill.
Right. Yeah, I haven't played I spent like a whole weekend playing the new NCAA game with my boys, but I really haven't played many games since shit last year, man. I mean, I don't even have my Xbox plugged in. It's depressing.
Yeah, man.
But I get around to it. I need to play. I need to get hired by a gaming company so I can have an excuse to play a game. You know?
Yeah, yeah, man. Look. I think like uh, it's fun. It's really fun to play a lot of these Web3 games because it's so early. You get to see the development. A lot of these games makes you really have a different take into what it takes to build a game. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I always knew building a game was very, very difficult, and people that think that they just like pop up out of thin air, people can just make them, especially with these super small teams. You know, it's like 5 people in a garage, and people are asking when at like year one, and I'm like, bro, they're like at like month 3 compared to these other people's year one. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally, man.
it's a waiting game, baby.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think like you know we have a client called Wild the World, and they're very much like that Grand Theft Auto of the Web3 space in a way. It's an
cool.
open world game, open world metaverse game. You know, currently there's a racing aspect of the game right now. We have a shooter aspect of the game coming out, and then very soon you're going to be able to like literally travel around the city and the island. This might be a little.
Were they a consensus?
What's that?
Were they a consensus?
Yeah. A couple.
Okay, I played that game actually, whenever I was there. So I know exactly what game you're talking about. The racing game was sick.
Yeah.
It was like Mario Kart kinda setup, but the cars were like floating.
Well, it's like photorealistic. Like this is photorealistic. Like I'm talking about. Like think about being in Miami because it's called Miami, and being in like a real race car going around in Miami and playing in a photorealistic open world game right now. But right now the aspect is definitely racing. It's really mind blowing the art and graphics to this game. But yeah, the city build is actually coming right out soon as well. And so like I think people don't realize, again, like you just mentioned it, is like how long some of these games or good games take, but also the aspect of showing the audience building in transparency almost in a sense as well, like showing them, hey, this is where we are in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and how to capture the actual loyal fan or member or client of the game to be part of that journey with us is so really cool, and that leads into community building and building the community, right?
Yeah, and on community building, is that you find most success through like game nights and other things like that to keep the community strong? How do you, maybe you don't use game nights? What do you use to really community build and keep them engaged?
Yeah, I think there's like different stages of where games are, right? So like, you know, if there's a token out, you know, it's good for the founder and the team or the executive team and marketing to have Discord town halls or AMAs where, you know, hey, the state of the union, right? Like, hey, this is what's happening,
Right.
this is what we're doing, right? NFTs, same thing. Anything that like kind of like has been there's a client there is very important to again to let them know what's happening and why they're involved and why they're committed to the project as well. So it's I think being transparent, right? Like I think it's being like I said, building in transparency with the community, but also being listening to the community is like I think a very important thing, right? Because there's a lot to learn from community, especially like them playing the game. They give great feedback, right? Like this is like people. One of the things
The free R&D.
Yeah,
And R&D is very expensive, bro.
I say this all the
So
time.
the better your community is, and the better R&D you get from them, the more money you're saving, dog.
Yeah, I say this all the time. In Web2, you pay play testers, right? Like you actually have to pay them to play your game. And then Web3 have it for free, and we're getting that. So yeah, I think it's a multitude of different things that have to happen with the community to allow them and to make sure that they're part of the journey that you're here, especially being this early in a lot of the games.
Yeah. Beautiful. I like that. Let's see. What did I? Oh yeah. So you've worked with some Web 2 gaming companies as well?
No, I've always focused.
Or only Web 3?
Yeah, I've always focused on Web3 games.
Okay.
Actually, that's a lie. I just realized that. I should. Hopefully, my client doesn't hear that because one of my current clients is actually a Web2 game that's coming into Web3. So technically, they're a Web2 game that's been building quite some time, and they're about to enter Web3. That's Paravox. Paravox has actually been building. It's a 3 versus 3 fast-paced shooter game. It's out of Japan. As you all know, Japan is the hub for gaming, and that's where most of these big names always come from. So these guys have a complete eye and art to detail, understanding gamers, the evolution of the gamer, and what makes the gamer so important to the game is really, really awesome to understand. And again, Web2 game coming into the Web3 space. They were just featured at the Esports World Cup last week, which is really, really cool.
That's huge.
Yeah. So like, yeah, we definitely, I should say, we work with a Web2 game. We're working with one right now.
Nice. And so what is the? Are they telling you like their feedback of what they are experiencing and like kind of like the shell shock that they're having
Totally.
from jump in? Like what tell me a little bit about that and how they're handling that.
Yeah. I think like it's been a lot of understanding the space, right? Like we just talked about being speculators. We talked about the good portion of the space, and so the conversations behind the scenes have been like, hey, why would we want to talk about like a future token or a future NFT? And I'm like, okay, well, this is like this market. How would we want to make sure that they understand what we're about to, not to say sell, but about to show them of like the investment or the product or the features of the game and stuff like that allow you to own assets and all that stuff, like the marketplace. And so like to them, understandably so from Web2, they understand that. But in Web3, the marketing for that is completely different than it is in Web2, right? And I think this is the best here, right? In Web3, you grind for airdrops, right? Like they're all grinding for like airdrops. In Web2, I'm having this conversation with them, and they're like, "Wait, why wouldn't a gamer want to grind for a skin?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like that is the perfect reason like a gamer would want to play a game, because that is why you play video games, and especially like these type of games."
A lot of people.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, like I wish we could grind for skins, but like that's not as receptive in the Web3 space, right? Because they're looking for the airdrop, because it's like, hey, if they're going to invest time, they want to see what their time has an ROI to it. And so yeah, it's been definitely like a lot of cool like understanding of like how they see the gamer is been really, really cool to understand, because they see it from a different lens, and I think it has helped even us as an agency to realign ourselves with who the true audience is behind all the games that we're building.
Nice. Okay, that's really cool. Okay, so yeah, just bringing them on and like helping them with that transition has made you take a step back and maybe realign and fix a couple of things inside of your operation. That's really cool. Uh, love to see. Tell me a little bit about that, about like running the company and having to take a step back, and like being like, okay, we need to adapt here. We need to pivot in this point. Tell me a little bit about making those calls and kind of your thought process when going through those situations.
Yeah, look, I think like this space is an emerging market, right? Web3 is an emerging market, and I think like there's a lot of metas, right? Like we mentioned, play to earn, play to win, play to own. Shoot, I don't even know what stage of the play to life cycle we are in Web3 gaming, right?
And so,
yeah. And so we've seen it all. So it's making sure that you're adjusting to these metas, right? Because you need to be relevant, right? Like you have to understand what's happening.
Be on top of it.
Yeah. And so like in marketing wise, like we very much have to be R&D at all times, watching Twitter as much as I don't want to, right? Understanding why people are saying certain things, what the certain words to use this week are, right? Like the word of the week this week or the past 2 weeks has been demure, right? And it's like, what the hell does that mean? And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Why are we using this new word all of a sudden? So yeah, it's like, you have to learn all these like keywords and understand what people want to see. And then there's also different social media platforms. And I think like that's a whole nother game, right? It's like TikTok is a whole different game than Twitter. Instagram's a whole different game. Facebook, right? And then you have to zoom out and say, okay, like we're talking because we're in North America and cool, but like, what is it like in Asia? Do people use Twitter in Asia? No, they're huge. Some countries in Asia are big on Facebook, and I'm like,
no,
damn, like I log onto Facebook, I don't know, maybe once a year to make sure like I say happy birthday to my aunt and uncle, and that's it, right? Like that's what we do.
Just so everybody knows, I am streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. Okay, cover your bases, people.
There you go. So like you have to then zoom out and understand audiences, countries, cultures, marketing in all these different places to make sure again you're also doing what's right? And then I think the last one I'll say is like making sure that the translation from English to Chinese, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, whatever it is being translated the right way, because there are words that when translated don't really mean the same and can be offensive. And so it's like, it's so important that like again, audience, understanding it, cultures, countries, all this stuff, like as I say, zoom out to make sure that you're doing the most effective marketing and staying up to date with everything that's happening in a marketing standpoint. Yeah, it's definitely a lot.
Yeah, totally agree. You had to like stay at the meta. It's funny to watch like accounts like, that are kind of relatively small, and then they catch a meta and they immediately like blow up. So it's all about riding that meta. Maybe one day I'll hit a meta. I don't know. I miss the demure. Why are people saying that?
I have no, man, it's been all over my timeline, and I'm like, who the hell started this one? So I'm just like,
I'm about to go into the dictionary, literally just like flip like 3 times, and then like just find a word and
find a word and start using
a word. Demure. What do they say?
There's so many like
on something on demure or something like that. These kids and their dang slang, dude. Speaking of that, so do you know about the slang like that the kids are using? You said like Disney is up on them. Are you down with skibidity or skibidi or whatever the hell the kids are saying nowadays?
Yeah, like this is the part where I think having a dynamic team is very, very important, right? The team definitely has, as young as 21-year-olds on the team to as old as me is 37, right? So it's fun to be on an ideation call with, the team talking marketing, and then, the younger ones are saying these words, and I'm like, the hell, like talk English, man. I have no clue what the hell you're telling me, and they're like, Jorge, the old grandpa, like this is what it means, and I'm like, man, I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, man, I think it's part of having a dynamic team, having the right people in the right places as well, and keeping up, like I said, with the metas and what's happening. So do I keep up with it? Yeah. Can I talk that lingo? Probably not, right? And I probably don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah, no, I'm losing if I'm trying to if I'm in like a competition trying to talk that language. I don't understand it. I listened to like a bunch of videos about it because I wanted to, like the dad saying it, and then they had their kids, and he's like, "Can you get all this right?" I mean, I can get Chad and all that right because, we're all just Chads here. That's what we do in this space. We just ape stuff. I love it. So, do you have any projects or anything that you're excited about that are coming out soon?
Yeah, I think like I say this in a like humble way as well, so hopefully it doesn't come off like in a cocky way. I think the gaming strategist has been able to work with the best of the best in Web3 gaming. Nyan Heroes is a top 4 most wishlisted game on Epic Game Store. It was a top 30 most played game on Epic Game Store. We been definitely a top game in Web3 gaming, and I think like it's one project. Not only am I working on it, but I'm like a huge fan of, because everything of that, how fun the game is. It's cats and giant mechs with guns, and like, dude, like, I don't know how to explain it to people. When I do, I'm just like, think about a cat playing with a gun, and you're playing like, you can look at Overwatch, Counter Strike. It's usually
Yeah.
humans and all this stuff, but like taking the IP and having a twist to it, and then even going further and building these like worlds, arenas that have different aspects of cat-like themes, but still inside of a game, is just like another mind blow. And I think, like, yeah, man, it's really exciting to do marketing for it, but it's also really exciting as a fan to see it kind of
Yeah.
roll out. We also work with Wilder World, like I mentioned before. That's just so cool to be able to kind of like see a Grand Theft Auto like game coming into Web3, because like we mentioned a lot earlier, is like payments is something that's very much why blockchain works. And then if you played Grand Theft Auto, a lot of the aspects of the game is hey, like, making money, stealing money, buying things within the game and everything like that. And like, man, imagine if you like are able to own some of these assets. Imagine if you're able to trade assets. Imagine if you're able to make money through playing games and owning land and all this stuff. And that's like where things get really like sparking in your brain, like the fires are going out, and you're like, holy shit, like we can have a lot of fun with this. And then of course, like, we just mentioned Paradox. So like, am I bullish on the games that I work with? Completely, right? Fucking really, like, really kick ass. But are there other games out there in the space that I'm really bullish on? Of course, totally. I want to make sure I support all my friends and a lot of the people that are building. And I think like it's like I mentioned, relationships are very important as well. But there are really some really cool games outside of the games as well as us that are just gonna be really kick ass, right? There's Parallel; those guys are killing it out there, right? Illuvium, Star Atlas, man,
Star Atlas.
yeah, like
That game had massive NFT sales. Didn't it have like that massive NFT sale for the ship?
yeah. I mean,
Wasn't that
they have like it's funny, man. Star Atlas is probably one of the very few games that has a robust marketplace that has daily sales still to this day, right?
wow?
They have activity going on every day. I think they had mentioned at one point, like, the activity on the Solana chain is made up of like a certain percentage of from Star Atlas transactions, and so that just
Damn.
tells you how strong of a game it is. So yeah, I think like really cool games out in the
I'm gonna
space
have
that
to
are
buy a ship.
yeah. There's really cool games that are being built, and really excited for the future.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of gaming podiums and stuff and talked to a lot of companies at the consensus. So it was really bullish being there and talking to all of them, getting to play the games. Um and just seeing like the enthusiasm of the people presenting everything and just seeing how excited everybody was to just be there and like really be killing and hopefully pushing the gaming space forward to a better, more profitable for gamer ecosystem.
Totally.
Because I'm tired of grinding and not and just getting a thing I can't sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Send me.
but there's an art to that, right? There's an art to that, because that's been happening for years, right? And so like,
No.
you mentioned these NCAA, right? Like FIFA, like these are skins that are player cards, and that the money being spent
Oh,
every single
dude, the
year.
player cards in FIFA, man.
Yeah, like think about it.
Yeah.
It's just every year that they're just able to profit every year. So there's a art to it that they've mastered, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Like, how do we take that as well into Web3 and into what we're building, and make that art become actually ownable, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the dream, dude. That's what we all are hoping for. And I see the Solana blockchain having a big AVAX is good too for it.
Definitely.
I played a bunch of games on Beam, so really like what they have going on. They make the transaction smooth. They make it like, seamless. Do you have anything to do with that? Do you have like a hand in them doing the seamless like transactions and all that? Do they ever ask you, or
I
you're
think
just mostly straight marketing?
no. I think like so like when we came into the space, the gaming strategist was actually an advisory agency.
Okay.
That's how we started here and work with a lot of games, talking about BD partnerships and marketing, and then we switched over into a marketing agency because being an advisor in Web3 gaming is probably the least profitable company that you could be because you're holding team tokens
Okay.
vested for 4 years. By the time the 4 years are up, it's like the token is probably 90%
Got
down, and so you're just like, okay, cool. But I think what makes us a unique marketing agency is that we give feedback in many ways, and it's just not marketing. We try to see what's innovative technology that could be adapted to the games that we're working with to make again a seamless transaction, a experience that is again based on the game itself, not the technology, right? Like, am I able to sign on with my Google account? Great. And can I load a credit card onto my Google account? Good. Can I go buy an asset within the game with whatever chain it's on? Cool. Like things like that, right? Like, can I jump into another game and with the same Google account, does the wallet on the
Yeah.
back end get created? Great. Do I have to worry about this wallet in the first seed phrase and all this stuff? Like, do gamers care about that? No, right? Like we just talked about how much money spent in FIFA, right? Like, maybe there's gamers that don't even care about owning the asset, right? But have we ever thought about that? Yeah, probably, because
They don't.
it's been happening for years. So like, is it something that you want to go out and say that's important? No, probably. So like again, making sure a lot of the stuff is seamless is very, very important.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the road to adoption. Once they're just like, yeah, connected to the Google, it'll make their wallet. They're not worried about it, but whenever they grow up and realize that their bag is waiting for them on the other side, they'll find that wallet and open it up and dump everything that they have, just like the rest of us. You
No
know.
doubt. No doubt.
So what is the So you were in TradFi kinda, then you transitioned into crypto. What was that risk management kinda shift in how you went about that?
I think that's a question that depends on who you ask, right?
Okay.
My dad used to be really, really proud to tell like everybody, like, yeah, my son works like Wall Street, New York. He's this banker, da da da. And now my dad would be like, when they ask like, hey, what does Jorge do? He's like, yeah. Let's change the subject, right? And so it's I always say it depends, right? And so it's definitely something that like again. People need to do their due diligence and research into what they're about to get into, right? Because there is no playbook to this emerging market that we are in. It's like the internet, right? When it was first started, it's
Yeah.
like a lot of things. Amazon back then, they didn't know where things were going. So I think like coming into this is having and wearing different hats at all times. Like we talked about metas, right? Understanding and trying to adapt to all these, but as a company as well, making sure that you're able to produce revenue, right? Because I think you need to be able to put food on the table. And what does that
No.
look like to be able to work with some of these games, depending on what stage of this life these games are at, is very, very important as well. So like, there's a lot to it, right? And so like the really I think that the answer is that like it's a very unknown space, and I think definitely make sure you have the experience or the research or the right mentors and advisors to help you get into this space to be able to navigate it.
Damn, hell of an answer. Love it. Well, that's pretty much all I got. Uh, we're at about an hour, so I mean, yeah, I want you to be able to go enjoy the rest of your night. I don't. What time is it there? It looks dark.
8:19. So yeah,
Oh wait, is the same? Ecuador's in the same time zone as Texas?
yeah, Central Time Zone.
Damn, bro, the
So
maps are screwed.
yeah, hold on. You just did this, right? It's actually straight down.
Yeah, it's straight down. No. In my mind, I was doing from California curving like through Mexico.
Okay.
How I was like imagining how you were under Louisiana, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in Texas, I was like, damn, the maps are messed up. You know, they make it seem like we're we're like so perpendicular down. That's hilarious. All right, hell yeah, then. Well, it's been a great space. I appreciate you for coming through and supporting the Elephant's Corner. Thank you to everybody that came through. Wait, hang on. Do we have some chats? Shout out Effin, shout out Space. Uh Based Minecraft, best GameFi project on base. So there's a based Minecraft, I guess. Okay, shout out Space to that. I know he loves Minecraft. So
No doubt, man.
I don't play Minecraft.
Look, there's a lot of great games being built, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's probably 1,000 or more games. Like, it's wild how many games are coming to market, right? So I think like there's going to be a lot of healthy competition. A lot of great indie game studios coming. I think have an open mind to a lot of the games. Have an open mind that like a lot of these games are beta or alpha, so do not try to judge it like really quickly and say, oh, this thing, this sucks because you can't do this or whatever. Like, again, smaller budgets than the Web2 space. Marketing has a very, very small budget compared to the Web2 space to make that virality go. And so I think like people be patient, be respective, right? Like let's make sure that we're building the space together. I think the community like sometimes maybe lashes out a little too much and doesn't realize that like again it could be hurtful, especially being this early. And I think like judge it by the time it actually has a full release, like you judge a Web2 game, right? Because a Web2 game you judge when it's fully released. It's not like in Web2 they're like, hey, come be a playtester. That doesn't really often happen. And so like I think like, hey, like make sure you have that same mentality you do in Web2 and Web3. So yeah, a lot of things, but we have a really promising future ahead of us.
Yeah, and if you want your game to go viral, if you're a community member, the best thing for you to do is to make viral content and put it online. Do it yourself.
Give them a good game. The game will do itself.
Yeah, exactly. Just play and present it to the people. But yeah, man, appreciate you. Everybody give him a follow. It's been at the bottom this whole time. Follow my other socials. That's ELE Studios and ELE Social Marketing. Thank you, DirecTV again. They cover all TV needs and they basically turn your house into a smart house if you have Android systems. Like if you're sitting on the couch, somebody rings your doorbell and you got a ring doorbell, you can just tell it, show me front door. It'll pull up on the TV what the door, who's at your door. So look into it. Give me a holler if you need it. And yeah, everything went great tonight. Thank you for coming again. I appreciate it. I'll see you around the space.
Yeah, man. Best of luck with everything. Keep pushing forward, man. These are always a lot of fun. It's always great questions. Great to be able to have this kind of rapport and build this with you. So really excited for your future as well. So I'll make sure I have the notifications on, like you said, follow all the accounts and always support. Because remember, it takes $0 to hit the like button.
Zero, dude. I literally just go through and just hit the like button, especially now that they're hidden people. I mean, now literally no one cares that you hit the like button.
No doubt.
Because they can't see.
No doubt.
All right, man.